bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different.
So he sees long-time ownership position for U.S. in Gaza. So he doesn't plan to bring the U.S. people back, the U.S. troop back. But this is the president that says he is going to end the war and make sure that he doesn't launch any new war. But unfortunately, he is planning to instead send more troops to Gaza so that they can hold an ownership position on behalf of the United States. This is kind of funny because I don't think this is what the people that voted him actually are hoping to hear. What about those who said they didn't want the war in Ukraine and they didn't want any war at all and said if he was the one in office, he will not launch any war? So we are very, very curious to know what they are going to say about this plan. So he even said that it's going to take 10 to 15 years to rebuild Gaza and for it to run smoothly like before.
Which we already know, given how displaced the millions of people who do live there already have been over the last 16 months as this war has been going on since Hamas attacked on October 7th. But the question is what that looks like. And people were also raising the question of what an explosive sentiment this would be. Certainly in the Middle East, to one, say that people should move out of their homeland, which Gaza is for the Palestinians, but two, also this suggestion that neighboring countries should take them. That is already something that Egypt and Jordan have outright rejected. This idea
so he's even entertaining the fact that neighboring countries should take Palestinian people.
Absolutely not, that is not happening. The president, though, does not seem to think that is off the table. And my key question to him tonight was where the Palestinians will go.
So the question tonight for Donald Trump is where are the Palestinian people going to go if no country is willing to take them? So this is a question during the press conference today that they are asking him.
The world's people, I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there, and they'll live there. Palestinians also. Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there. But they've tried the other, and they've tried it for decades and decades and decades. It's not going to work. It didn't work. It will never work. And you have to learn from history.
So these are people questioning him about his decision, and you can see him repeating his words because he really don't have any clear answer. These are the people during the briefing room every morning that they usually have in the United States. So today he has to take questions from the reporters.
That live there now can live in peace in a much better situation because they're living in hell, and those people will now be able to live in peace. We'll make sure that it's done world class. It'll be wonderful.
So he promised all these sounding words, but he doesn't come out with a clear plan on how he's going to achieve this.
Jordan, and that the general president, but that the general in Egypt will open their hearts and will give us the kind of land that we need.
So he is betting on Egypt to open their hearts and give them some kind of land so that they can use it to build another country.
To essentially force Egypt and Jordan into this deal. The king is coming here next week.
So he is kind of forcing Egypt and Jordan to come out with a deal on how to help out.
That would look like and where the Palestinians would go. The president saying that the United States should take over the Gaza Strip is one of the most remarkable statements that I have ever heard.
So this is him with Natanyuhu. They had a press conference today and sharing ideas together on the same stage in the United States. This is the White House. Donald Trump hosting his friend Natanyuhu.
It wasn't even clear that that they can get to that. And Trump was saying,
So you see them here actually
remember, there are
talking
Hamas
like two big
fighters
boys,
living
big
in Gaza
guys.
right now.
But
Honestly,
unfortunately,
Palestinians,
nothing
civilians
good came
living
out
in
of this
Gaza right now.
meeting,
And
as I
there are
said.
Israeli hostages who are being held still by Hamas in Gaza right now. And the question of what happens to all three of that, John, is just there aren't really a lot of details in this, but certainly one thing was clear is the president was being very serious about what this would look like. He cited conversations with other leaders in the region. He did not name any of them individually, John. But I was just texting with one Israeli official this evening that I know from being on the ground in Israel, and was saying this idea of having the U.S. be in control of the Gaza Strip would be, to say the least, incredibly hard to implement.
So a lot of them are already saying that this idea of US having control of Gaza is going to be very, very difficult. So they don't know how he's planning to do it. We are going to hear from these different panelists, different people to share their ideas.
The President of the United States say
Let's hear from David.
a long-term ownership position for the U.S. in Gaza. What do you hear, and what do you think the world hears?
I mean, it's really hard to know where to start with that. The idea that you're saying we are going to expel 1.8 million people from their homeland. We are going to compel the Egyptians and the Jordanians to take them. Both countries have strongly rejected that. It's kind of an existential.
So all countries have rejected the idea that Donald Trump wants to force Egyptians to get some people and help them, and we don't know how he's going to manage to convince people to help him.
The idea that the U.S. would just seize the land and redevelop it as a real estate project with the help of the U.S. military. I mean, all of it is kind of mind-boggling. But, John, I think there's a bigger thing. Given everything that's going on in Washington in these first 2 weeks, I've said for 8 years, the thing that concerns me is beyond policy. Donald Trump doesn't believe in rules and laws and norms or institutions. He doesn't believe them domestically. He doesn't believe them.
So you can see exactly the destruction. And we are asking a question. We know Donald Trump is a real estate expert. We're wondering how he's going to rebuild a whole country that is not even his own country. So here they have broken bridges. They say have a lot of things that they need to take care of. You know, he said that he wants American first. So it's kind of mind-blowing that he will be putting this kind of energy behind Gaza and Israel and Palestine instead of taking care of his people here in the United States. He has just been 2 weeks and a half in office, and you can see him pouring his energy on Gaza, pouring his energy on Pakistan. So we don't really know where he stands. From this panelist.
President Trump, one of the things I always say is that, well, you have to adjust because he doesn't think like a typical foreign policy establishment person. And I think we just witnessed.
So we understand that Donald Trump is not a foreign policy expert. So sometimes he talks without reasoning and without knowing the implications.
This isn't on anybody's bingo card. I think that region is probably, if they haven't heard it before from Trump, is like.
So this is when Trump hosted Natanyuhu in the White House today. So these are the two men
To the Muslim street in the region. That's sometimes different than what leaders think, but the leaders in the region are afraid of the Muslim street, and they're afraid that if they somehow support any of this, even Saudi Arabia, that's an autocracy, it could be a problem for them at home. They worry about assassination. They worry about protests. So Jordan, Egypt, but even Saudi Arabia, these kinds of places. And then on the flip side, even the settlers probably aren't excited about this in Israel because that's their land, not America's. So I think that this will not actually materialize as presented today somehow.
So understand that Gaza is Israel's land and not America. So we don't understand why he wants to seize it. We don't understand why he wants to keep American troops permanently there. We can smell that very soon he will create a new war for America, and instead of him trying to make sure that he stop the Ukraine war so that he can keep the money that he claimed that they are using on Ukraine. Instead of taking the money back or stopping the Ukraine war, we won't be surprised if you go and engage in another war that they will instead use more money to stop it.
For an American president who's supposed to be the beacon of democracy to the world, saying, look, it hasn't worked, so I don't think it's your land anymore. Sorry, you got to go.
So we don't know if Donald Trump is actually going to stand by his words, but a lot of world leaders are scratching their head to hear what is coming out from a world leader like Donald Trump, which they thought that he was going to at least come out with some kind of great ideas as the leader of the free world.
We are 2 weeks and 1 day in, and they're dismantling federal agencies, they're firing federal employees, they're trying to do away with things.
So you can hear the kind of terrible destruction that he has done over the 2 weeks and 1 day, as according to Anderson.
This is a presidential power grab and a view of presidential power, and now a view of America.
So he just want to grab power, even power that is not allocated to him. He just want to get it.
If a red state doesn't like the blue state next door, there are rules and norms and laws for a reason. You can challenge them, but for a president of the United States to unilaterally say we can take land that belongs to somebody else is beyond astounding.
Exactly. So for the president of the United States to openly say that he can take land that belongs to somebody else, it means a lot. It's mind-blowing for world leaders to hear from his mouth.
Given what you've said about Gaza, did the U.S. send troops to help
So this is again the press conference that they had today after meeting with the president of
If it's necessary, we'll do that.
Prime Minister Natanyuhu.
So that's not ruling out, Aaron, using U.S. troops in Gaza. This is a president who, for many years, opposed U.S. intervention in Iraq and wanted to pull troops out.
So this same president for many years has been criticizing other presidents for engaging in war, for example, in Iraq, Ukraine, supplying troops to Ukraine, supplying funding to Ukraine, attacking other previous presidents. But now we are seeing him trying to engage in a new war that he is not even directly involved.
Natanyuhu standing there, Donald Trump was doing everything to show our greatest ally in the Middle East that he wants to have their back and provide security. This is something I hadn't heard of before, the idea of the United States unilaterally taking over Gaza. I think we are very far from any actual movement on any of this, but the main part of this...
So this is the White House of the United States of America. So this is Donald Trump's first foreign meeting, first meeting the White House with a foreign leader.
Into Israel at any moment, and we have seen how
Is watching. Let's hope to see that Trump materialize his plan, and it will be funny if we don't see him again talk on this topic.